My name is Peter Leavell, and I'm an award-winning novelist. I write historical fiction. I'm going to answer a few of your questions in the coming minutes, but first, a word about bacon. Welcome to our favorite eating establishment, where we eat bacon. Let me show you. So some of you who know me may be shocked to find that in this video I'm not wearing a Civil War uniform or a cowboy outfit. The reason is because most authors have a day job. They cannot write full-time, including myself. I have a day job. I'm a property manager for my family. We have 156 townhomes in the Treasure Valley, which is Boise, Idaho. And I manage for the family. On the side, every once in a while, when people aren't coming in, I can make videos or I can write 15 minutes here and there. So it works out really well. Plus, I get my apartment for free. Free is awfully nice. Also, they have access to me 24/7, so I get a lot of stories from them. They come in with their problems. I asked a few days ago if you could ask me some questions, and most of the questions involve bacon. Bacon is an integral part of my life. Jan asks, what's your favorite meal? Which is bacon. Joseph asks, pan or oven? I cook it in the pan. I can't wait as long as the oven takes. Mike asks, should the character Chewbacca in Star Wars have been named Chew-Bacon instead? Yeah. Peggy, how much bacon do you eat a day? It's incalculable, sorry. And then Steve asks if we wake up faster, better, more completely when I smell bacon or when I know that you'll be able to get up and cook it. It is an encouragement when I wake up and bacon's already there. Do you buy bacon by the truckload? Yeah, we do. Reason why we eat so much bacon in my family is a couple of years ago I was gaining weight very quickly. I stopped making testosterone, and with the treatments and whatnot I was gaining weight, and my son had food allergies, extreme food allergies. He came across not being able to eat gluten, dairy, eggs, soy, corn, and it was making him cough, and they wanted to put him on steroids and then possibly more treatments in the future. So we said, let's just avoid those foods instead of pumping an 11, 12-year-old full of steroids. And so after 2 days of that, he was down. He was really depressed. And I asked him, buddy, what's wrong? And he said, I just feel so lonely. And I'm like, oh, buddy, what's wrong? And it just, I feel like I'm doing this alone. Would you like me, Jost? Would you like me to do this diet with you? And he said, Daddy, I can't ask you to do that. And so the entire family is on a gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free, corn-free diet. And what's happened is we've stopped eating processed foods completely. So we'll have a piece of chicken breast or broccoli or a hamburger patty and a fruit and a vegetable. So it's very simple. Takes a little bit of time to make everything from scratch, but in that, about 2 or 3 months later, I had lost 40 pounds. And I'm a jogger. I like to jog, so 5-10 miles a day or every other day. And I was losing weight too fast. I was down to about 135, 140. And so the doctor said, go on bacon binges. Your cholesterol is too low. Your blood pressure is too low. Because we did some tests. And so bacon, it is. Bacon keeps me alive, believe it or not. But to eat bacon as much as I do, you need to be running 5 or 10 miles every couple days. And you need to be on a severe diet, almost paleo, because paleos eat bacon, I'm sure. Alright, let's answer some more questions. Rachel McMillan. Rachel's an exciting person to know because she gushes about books. I love that. She asks, what comes easiest when you're writing historical fiction, and what is more difficult? For me, the easiest part is the research. I love research. I love gleaning ideas from documents, diaries, and things like that. But what's more difficult for me is getting a good feel of what life was like back then. And that's what I like to focus on, because I don't think we know. We forget so easily with internet, with the ease of food. We forget you have to start a fire to cook. You have to start all the ingredients from scratch, and that takes up a good percentage of your day in the past. So it's really hard for me to figure out what it was like just to get through the day. What is a historical setting you'd love to write a novel in? I'd love to write it in a Victorian-style mansion. With Victorian furniture, paintings around me, books, novels. It would be a dream come true. Patricia asks, I'm currently doing research in a writing set in the Civil War era and interested in the roles of pastors at that time, because they seem to be a great deal do more than preach or stay in the church. And this is entirely true. My first novel was Gideon's Call, which takes place during the Civil War. Pastors during that time were very active in their community. They were looked upon as leaders in the community. The problem is pastors were different for each place they were living in. So in the South, a lot of the messages that I came across really went a long ways to justify slavery. They used scripture and twisted it just a little bit to justify we are to take care of the black man and to teach him to be civil, otherwise he's just an animal, which is utterly ridiculous, but that's the kind of preaching they did. There's a few dissenting voices, but they were not loud enough, and you could get in serious trouble if you were a dissenting voice during that time. Now, when it came to the North, preachers in the North between New York, Boston, and Philadelphia, Boston had a presence of philosophical thinking. So the minds there, including the preachers, were more philanthropic and philosophical. So instead of saying, like New York, which was entirely based on spiritual thinking, whereas by saying God will take care of everything no matter what, we don't even need to work, we don't need to help the poor or whatnot, God will take care of it all. Boston was more integrating the idea of we've got to do everything, God's not involved at all. So between the two cities, when they came together, they fought. In my novel, the two fought, and the pastors reflected these ideas. As far as Philadelphia is concerned, it was a mixture of the two, because you did have the Continental Congress come up with the founding fathers there, but the strong spiritual elements. So the people from Philadelphia were the people in the South need Christ. The slaves need their spiritual needs met and their physical. New York said they just need their spiritual, then God will figure out the rest with food. And then Boston, let's get them food and then we'll forget about their spiritual lives entirely. Well, not entirely, but we'll figure out that part later. So it depends on which area you're talking about as far as the main goals of the pastors during the time, but they were community leaders. That was a great question. Catherine asks, what do you do in your free time? I don't have a lot of free time. I get up at 6:30 in the morning, and I'm here at work by 7:30, and then I get tidbits of time here and there throughout the day to read, research, and in the evening when I'm home around 8 or 9 at night is when I really do a bulk 1 or 2 hours worth of work. Joe, my brother, asks, how do you choose what to write about and why history, and where do you get your ideas? I get really interested in what changed history on a dime. My novel that I'm working on now is Constantine, and Rome changed from pagan to Christian overnight, just like that. There was some underlying currents switching contributed, but what exactly did it take, and why did it switch over? And that's what I like to write about. With Gideon's Call, I wanted to see what it would be like to be a slave one day and then free the next, just like that, and what it would be like to grow up during that time period. So my story follows Tad, a young boy during that time period, and it just, whatever interests me, I wanted to just dig into it and feel what it's like in my head and then write it as best I can. Catherine asks, how how many books do you read at a time? I'm reading right now about 6 or 8 at a time. And then for fun, I always read one book, one fiction that is not fun to read, because it makes me mad and think I can do better. And then one that's a classic, and then one that's just fun, which for me is fantasy. Like right now I'm reading Harry Potter just for fun, late in the evenings when I'm about to go to sleep. For research, I just, for any given novel, I read about 10 to 20 novels about that, or non-fictions about that subject, just so I feel like I'm confident enough to go forward with what I can write. Jan asked me, what things do you need around you to write? Music, candle burning, that kind of thing, coffee, tea. I do drink iced tea. That's my main source of caffeine. And I need music. If I don't have music, I can't do it. I also have an app that'll play nature sounds, which helps a lot. So if I feel like I need a scene outside or on a ship, a pirate ship or something, then I'll listen to that. And it really excites me within seconds. Donna asks, do you ever have the challenge of wanting to spend more time with the characters in your books than sometimes in real life? And I do. My tenants sometimes can be a bit of a pain, and so my characters they're people I would like or I would absolutely hate, but they're very dynamic. So yes, I do feel like sometimes I would like to spend more time with them than real people, and I think that's common for all of us writers. Jesse asks what my favorite book on writing or the writing life is. And that book I brought with me, it's Self-Editing for Fiction Writers. This book is absolutely changed my career. I read it. I was an okay writer, but then that really twisted my thinking into we can really step this up a notch, and it's a great start from going from good to a great writer, and then eventually to publishable. Other people would read and pay money for. But I always reading, like right now I'm reading Stein on writing. I always have a book on writing that I'm always reading, always. I enjoyed Stephen King's novel. There's language in it, but it helped me with and then Stephen Pressfield's the Art of War, the Art of Writing, something like that, I forget. And those two books, Stephen King's on writing and Stephen Pressfield's just the writing life on those. Have you ever considered, Jesse again, writing the fantastic into your historical novels? And I do, and I did. I have a manuscript called Teddy Roosevelt's Zombie Killer. Right now it's sitting on a file on my desk. Publishers said no. They're not interested in that. I haven't pitched it to any smaller publishers yet, but it needs edited, and I don't want to pay money for editing it right now. But it's a lot of fun. I do enjoy that fantasy and history mix, and there's a few authors that I enjoy who do that very well. Peggy asks, does your wife influence your writing? And actually, no. What she does is she sits on me until I actually write. She's the one that says, go write. And I'll be, can I take care of the kids tonight? Can I have some fun? No, that's your writing time. So she protects my writing time more than I do. So I very appreciate that about my wife. Jerry Beth asks, how old were you when you felt the need to write? I was 16. And I was 14, and my grandmother said, you can probably write a book, you're talented. By the age of 16, I think you can be published by then. And ever since then, I really wanted to write a novel. I thought I could. But really when it started, I was 8 years old, and there was a girl sitting under a tree, and she was writing. And I asked, what's she doing? Why doesn't she come play with us? She's writing a book, they said, and I really liked that idea. So ever since then, I've always had it in the back of my mind that I would write a book. Jerry Beth asks, again, are you at all interested in pursuing the idea of a World War I or World War II book? And the answer is absolutely yes. I was talking with Tanya, my wife, about it the other day. could I write a serialization, just short stories, to make one long book and release them a little bit at a time without having to do a lot of research? Because every novelist, every historian knows their World War II already. So she said, no, you're going to keep finishing Constantine and the other projects I have going, book 2 in the Western, and then you can do it. And so I'm like, yeah, she's right. So she keeps me on task. But it's definitely in the back of my brain. I'd love to do World War II, and I don't know how much research I would need to do. For fun right now, I'm reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. So Catherine asks, have you ever considered taking writing lessons? Because the book that just released is West for the Black Hills, a Western. And I have actually considered taking writing lessons, but I am from Cody, Wyoming. When I was little, my grandfather had horses, and so I remember how to ride, and I've been riding since high school, and I haven't ridden for a long time, but I would really like to. And then one more question, I think, from Dean. Good research always leads to unexpected places and discoveries. What is the story of your preparations for your latest release? I grew up in Cody, Wyoming, and then we moved to South Dakota. And so I had a lot of the history ingrained in me from a young age. And I just wanted to write a Western. And of course, I knew a lot about Dakota Territory and whatnot in history, so I just plinked it out without having to research much. But then after I published, I realized that this is a big deal. This is a good story, the Western West for the Black Hills. So my family and I journeyed over to the Black Hills, and we had a blast. And the book just came together, the story, the plot line. We just have fun when we go out on our research trips. So I appreciate you hanging out with me. If you could, West for the Black Hills is a little, it's not edgy, it's just a little different. It's a classic Western. There's some spiritual themes written throughout, but there's no preaching, so it's more when you have to defend yourself and you have to defend those you love with a gun, but you're against violence and you just want to be left alone. You're going to ask God some questions naturally, and so that's the spiritual themes that go behind it. The searching deeper on who you are, what's God doing in your life, and why isn't God stepping in and taking control of the situation instead of me having to pull my gun and defend myself. And so there's some of those themes going on in the book. But it's a little more edgier for Christians as far as there's some gunplay. And Christians, some of the reviews that are coming in are Christians are... It is romance, but it's a counterweight, according to Publishers Weekly, to how the Christian market, inspirational market, views the West. And so if you're interested in helping spread the word about the book, some of the things you could do is do reviews. Reviews are gold. They're what make or break an author. And then you could also just share it with your friends. I don't mind you loaning out the book, whatever. It's great. Just get people talking about the story. And then let me know what you think. That's always great. You can find me on Facebook, Peter R. Leavell, and friend me. We have a lot of fun on Facebook. So thanks for spending this time with me, and I hope we can chat soon again. Thanks.